Hello, this is Jen from Bumble Monkey, and today we're going to be working on the second panel of the Keep Calm and Crochet on UK Crochet-a-long for the Groovyghan, which is the hot butter popcorn panel. And it actually has some very nice texture to it. And just like last time, we're going to be using only 3 colors and working exactly as the pattern is written. Feel free to change up the colors as you wish. I have already seen several of the panels that have been made by others, and they're really neat the way that other people have coordinated with their colors. So I'm going to be using yellow as my main color and then these two as my coordinating colors. And there are a bunch of new stitches here, and since I know some of you are fairly new to crochet, I'm going to try making these as detailed as possible. So we're going to start off with a foundation single crochet row, and this technically does not count as the first row of your panel, but it creates a very nice stretchy edge to it. And I love working with the foundation rows because not only are they stretchy, but they also create a very nice edge that you don't need to do anything with if you don't want to. So you don't need to add on a particular border if you like, or slip stitch around to make it look all pretty. But that's just me. You can certainly do it if you like to. But for these panels, we're just going to keep it exactly as the pattern is written. Okay. So with your main color, you're going to start off by making a slip stitch. Sorry, slip knot. I don't know why I keep saying slip stitch. And now you're going to chain 2, and to work the foundation single crochet row, you're going to put your hook into that very first chain that you made. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through just the first loop on your hook. Yarn over, pull through that first loop only, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. I'm going to tighten up this a little bit. So I don't know if you can see very well, but this here is the starting chain that we did, and this will be your first single crochet. And in order to work the next stitch, I'm going to turn it on its side, and let me refocus that. But there's going to be 2 loops here from your first stitch. You're going to put that hook through those 2 loops. So now you got the first 2 loops there from the first stitch and the original loop on your hook. Yarn over, pull through that first stitch there. Gonna yarn over, pull through the first loop. That will create the chain at the very bottom. Yarn over and pull through both. And that's going to create your second single crochet. So we're going to work on it again. I'm going to turn it on its side so you can see here. Okay, so as you can see, you have the 2 there. 1, 2. You're going to put your hook through those 2. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. That's better. Okay, so the original hook loop on your hook, and then the 2 loops of that stitch. So you're going to yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. Now you're going to yarn over, pull through the first loop only, yarn over, pull through both. That'll create the third. So as you can hopefully see here, you have 1, 2, 3 stitches that you have made. When you make this, you want to make sure that it is nice and stretchy. You want to crochet as loosely as possible. And you're probably going to see with mine, it will straighten out eventually, but mine usually curves a little bit. And you want to try and make it as straight as possible. Some people are really good with it, but for me, no matter how loosely I crochet it, it will always curve a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. You're going to continue on. Put your hook in those 2 loops there. Yarn over, pull it through. Yarn over through the first loop only. Yarn over through 2 loops. Okay, and as you can see, it's going to create what looks like a chain and your single crochets. So I'm going to continue on just a little bit more quickly here, but we want 33 single crochets here. I currently have 4. Feel free to pause the video, rewind, and keep looking at it until you can understand. Sometimes what I accidentally do is put the hook right through the middle of the stitch, and you don't want that. You only want it through those 2 loops on the hook. As you can see, mine is already starting to curl. And that's perfectly fine. It will straighten out a little bit, and then you just have to block your work afterwards. Heather usually has some pretty good blocking techniques in the blog. You can certainly search for them as well. One thing that I'd like to just warn you about now, I will not be making a joining video for the second panels to attach to the first section, just because I find that joining at the very end of this section of squares and rectangles is going to be a lot neater if you join them all together rather than individually. So sections 2, 3, 4, and 5 are going to look a lot nicer joined to section 1 if you join them all at once. So once all those sections have been released and made, then I will make another joining video. Okay, I've lost track how many I've made so far. So this will be a good time to show you how to count. So sometimes the designer will tell you to count your starting chain as a stitch, but Heather states in her pattern the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so we're going to ignore this part right here. So we're going to count this as the actual first stitch, and I like to count the 2 loops at the very top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 26. So I need to make 7 more. You may need to make more or less, depending on how many you made at this point. I'm going to count again. I like to double and triple count sometimes. 31, 32, 33. Perfect. Just how many we need. Okay. So as you can see here, it looks like a row of single crochets. Then at the very bottom, it actually looks like you chained that first row. Obviously you didn't. But this does not count as your first row. For our first row, we are going to turn our work. We're going to chain 1. This does not count as a stitch. And now we're going to half double crochet into this first stitch here and in every stitch across. And if you've never done a half double crochet stitch here or before, show you, it's actually very easy. You're going to yarn over, put it through the stitch. So you now have 2 loops plus the original stitch from the previous row on your hook. Yarn over, going to pull it through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now we need to put a half double crochet stitch in each other stitch in our work so far. So again, yarn over, put it through the next stitch. Again, you have the 3 there. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now you have 2 half double crochets in your work so far. And I'm going to continue on and work all the way across. And if you're new to crocheting, you might think that I'm crocheting pretty fast, but this is actually fairly slow for me. And when you get to the end of this row, like I am pretty much there now, you should have 33 stitches along that row, again, not including that first chain one. So feel free to count and make sure. As you can see, my foundation row is fairly curly at the beginning, and now it's a little straighter. So let's just double check. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, so row 2 is where we start with the popcorn stitches. And for those, I'm going to get rid of the variegated yarn. I'm going to use my green. So I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 2, and this does not count as a stitch. We're going to put a double crochet into the same stitch that we put the turning chain into. So yarn over through that first stitch there, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the second 2. That's our first double crochet. And now we need to put another double crochet into the next 3 stitches, so we want a total of 4. And if you were able to watch the video from the first section, the granny squares, you will remember that it was pretty much double crochets all the way around. Oh, sorry. We are not going to finish this 4th double crochet. We're going to leave those 2 stitches, or sorry, those 2 loops on the hook. So we have 3 completed double crochets and a half completed double crochet. And the reason why is now we're going to join our first coordinating color yarn. Some people like to join the new yarn with a slip stitch. I didn't learn that way. You can certainly find another YouTube video to find out how to actually do it. This is the way that I was taught. For me, it's really easy. So, in case you missed it, let me work that stitch again. Okay, so all I did, I just folded the yarn in half, put it around my hook, and I pulled through the last 2 stitches in my work. I'm going to tug on the yellow and then the green, make sure it stays nice and tight. And then when you crochet the next few stitches, you're going to work the green around the yellow. You're going to carry the yellow through the work. It's not as scary as it sounds. Okay, and to make a popcorn stitch, you are going to work 5 double crochets into this 1 stitch right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'm going to pull up that yarn just a little bit. It makes it easier for me. Now what you're going to do, so you remove your hook completely, you put your hook through that very first green double crochet there, then you put your hook back through that loop, pull it tight. I'm going to push through a little bit here because you want the popcorn stitch to be on this side. Gonna drop the green yarn, gonna pick up the yellow, yarn over the hook and pull it through the 2 green loops on your hook. And one thing I learned while testing this pattern is, you might find this useful as well, but after you've pushed through the yarn there, or pushed through the popcorn stitch onto the other side, I like to take the green yarn and pull really tightly to make it more of a bubble shape. I didn't do this the first time, and I really didn't like the popcorn stitches that I'd made. Okay, so after I pull the green yarn, I'm going to pull the yellow yarn, make it nice, make a nice bubble there, and this is what the back looks like. Okay. Now, when you work the next couple of stitches using your main color, you're going to wrap it around the green. So you're going to carry the green yarn all the way around. Okay, so we want to make 3 double crochets. So now you want to work into this stitch here is your first one. As you can see, I'm actually carrying my yarn. I didn't show you with the popcorn stitch just because it's not a typical double crochet stitch. So I just wrap the yarn all the way around. See? And it will hide it. You can't see it very well when you actually work it. Okay, so when you make the 3rd double crochet, you stop before you pull the last yarn over through these 2 stitches here. You're going to drop the yellow yarn for now. Pick up your green yarn, yarn over, pull through the last 2 stitches. Pull a little tightly on both. Now working with the green yarn, you're going to put 5 double crochets into this stitch here for our next popcorn stitch. Okay, so now that I've made my 5 stitches, pulled my hook out, I'm going to put my hook into the first stitch there, back through the loop. I'm going to try and push a little bit towards the front. I'm going to pick up my yellow yarn. Caught around my work there. Yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on my hook. Again, I'm going to push the green all the way through, pull tightly on the green yarn. I'm going to pull on the yellow, make sure it's nice and tight. Now I'm going to work 3 more double crochets with the yellow into the next 3 stitches. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and I'm going to stop on the 3rd one with the 2 loops there. I'm going to drop the yellow, pick up my green, I'm going to yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops to finish off my 3rd double crochet, and now I'm going to make another popcorn stitch. So I've now made 5. I'm going to pull up my yarn a little bit, remove the hook, put it through the first loop, through the second loop, pull tight, or for now at least, pick up my yellow, yarn over, pull through the 2 green loops on my hook. I'm going to push the popcorn stitch to the other side. I'm going to pull tightly on the green. And I'm going to pull tightly on the yellow. So I have my nice little bubbles there. Now, 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, and I'm just going to continue on with that until the end of my row. If you need to, you can back up. First time I made these popcorn stitches, the stitches didn't turn out all that nicely for me, and that's when I decided to try and tighten them up a little bit. I don't know why this one's fighting with me. That's okay. Yeah, the first time the popcorn stitches were really wide and there was random loops everywhere, and it didn't look very pretty. Oops, keep hitting that. The little device I created to hold up my camera. So I'm sorry about that. Missed a part. Now I only have a couple more to go here. Green, pull on the yellow. I'm just having all sorts of difficulties today, aren't I? Oh, now we're on the last little stretch here. So we want to put 4 double crochets into the next stitches. One, 2, 3, and in our last stitch there. Okay, so now we're going to take scissors, we're going to cut the green yarn, and then you want to take your yarn needle and you want to finish off the green yarn on here and over here, and just tie your knot if you want to, weave in the ends, but you just want to finish that off before you continue on to the next section. But that is currently what the back of the panel looks like, and that is the front with the nice little popcorn stitches on it. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick little break, but you won't notice because I'm going to stitch all the videos together.